Rama श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम सुंदर राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप धाम की जय। स्वामी भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Go Pramanande.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
So welcome to all of our guests who've come in between the kirtans. So we just listened to a kirtan by Srila Prabhupada. And I would like to introduce our special guests for this evening. So a little bio to read. So it's very long.
Just say hello and welcome and goodbye. No need.
So our guest this evening joined ISKCON in 1984 in Zurich, Switzerland at the age of 15.
Wow.
15. And soon became one of the world's top book distributors. He traveled the globe more than a dozen times as book distribution minister. And since 1996, he is part of a team who successfully taught thousands of devotees through his graduate course of book distribution. He built and directs Vaishnava Academy in Sridham, Mayapur, and earned his Bhaktivedanta degree from Mayapur Institute. He delivers seminars on book distribution and leadership and guides individuals through his personal experience for nearly 4 decades of practice. He still regularly distributes books, and in fact, some of you know, he was just out on book distribution earlier today and came straight here to give the talk. So there's, in one sense, you could argue nothing more dear to Srila Prabhupada than distribution of his books, the thing that he repeated again and again. We're very honored to have His Grace Navina Nirada here with us. He's like a very kind, considerate, tolerant elder brother. I remember in the early days when I was a young brahmachari in London, we would hear stories of Navina Nirada and his book distribution, and we were all trying to emulate and follow in his footsteps. And then one day he finally came to London, and it was like a dream come true for many of us there to get the opportunity to meet and associate with him. So we're all very blessed to have him here with us this evening. So we'd like to invite Navina Nirada to please come and speak.
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhisham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapanantikam. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Nagade Grim Yat Kripadam Vande Sri Guru Taranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Nanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasnabhyacha Patitana Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you all for coming. So this is the place where it all started, officially. Before Prabhupada was in Butler, Pennsylvania, and he was staying in different people's apartments and sleeping on their couch and just somehow getting by. And then he started chanting in Thompson Square Park. You've been to the park, you've seen the tree. He was just standing there and chanting. And it took over a year till some people actually showed interest. Before it was very quiet. He was just venturing on his own. But after a year, a few young boys and girls took interest. So some of them, they saw that his living situation was not ideal, and they wanted to get him a place. So they were looking for a place, and Prabhupada took this place. I believe this was $125 rent, and the apartment $75. So he had $200. He only had 1 month's rent. So he took that risk. He took risks for Krishna. You know? Just coming to the US was a risk, because at the age of 70, with not much connection and no resources, it was certainly a risk. But Prabhupada's willing to take a risk for Krishna. So that's a good lesson for all of us. We all have to take a leap of faith every now and then. Have you taken a leap of faith? Sometimes you have to stretch a little. You're not sure you're going to actually make it. But you know, Krishna can carry me over. He carries what you lack, and it preserves what you have. But it has to be a risk for Krishna, not a risk for sense gratification, for my own agenda. Otherwise, depending on my karma, it may or may not happen. So, and Prabhupada, as we heard from my dear old friend Chaitanya Prabhu, we go way back. We grew up in a similar sandbox. Prabhupada was very accessible because he lived upstairs. He gave programs here 3 times a week. A few times a week, people had gatherings in his quarters. And I was just, in the last 4 years, before I started traveling again, I was stationed in San Francisco, opening a little center there. And while I was out on Market and Powell, you know where the cable car starts? I met a gentleman, and he pointed at the picture of Prabhupada and he said, I met him. And I said, probably not, a lot of people talk things in San Francisco. And he said, no, I'm from New York. I was there in 67, and or very early on. And he said, he walked into the storefront, and they told me, yeah, the Swami's upstairs, you can go meet him. So he said, I just walked upstairs, and the Swami was sitting on a cushion on a low desk, and he was doing some work. And he said, I sat down, and it was perfect. He wasn't saying anything, and I wasn't saying anything. Because he knew that I knew that he knew. Now, if you don't get that, you haven't been there in San Francisco, and you don't know that, So, and he said, for 40 minutes, nothing was said. But it was perfect. And after 40 minutes, he motioned to one of his assistants, and he gave me some fruit, and then I left. So, Prabhupada didn't talk to him. Why did Prabhupada not talk to him? Because he was not ready to hear. He had to wait for more than 50 years before he could hear Prabhupada. He took a Chant and Be Happy, small book, and ceremoniously handed over his $1 donation. And hopefully now he has the chance to hear Prabhupada, because 50 years ago he was not ready. But this story, this little anecdote, shows to me that Prabhupada was not only willing to start small, but he was willing to start slow. He wasn't like jumping the gun. He wasn't like, where is my audience, where are my people, how we can scale this, how are we gonna, do the IPO and, take this to the market and go global. Prabhupada was happy to just deal with whoever walked in. And every day, and he kept that going for all the time that he was with us. His door was open every day for at least 2 hours, and people could just walk in and sit down and ask him questions. So to me, that's leadership. Means you have to be accessible and available. It's not enough to just say, send a memo, send a message, but you have to actually be accessible and available. And Chaitanya Prabhu knows how hard it is to be accessible and available, because to just keep things going is hard enough, and then to take time out, quality time, to be there with the people and really hear them out, hear their story. And there was a lot of people who told him a lot of stories. And Prabhupada he was just willing to start small and to start slow and to add Krishna to people's lives. One lady said, whenever I chant Hare Krishna, I see all these lights and all these colors and all these things. Prabhupada said, just keep chanting, it will go away. So he had the tradition, the gravity, but he also had the humor. And that is quite an attractive blend. One of the senior disciples of Srila Prabhupada told me when I did my 2 tours through the US during the pandemic, visiting every center and gathering and home that I could find devotees, told me that Prabhupada's heart was completely open. He was unconditionally loving. There was no barriers. He told many that if you love me, I'll love you back. I'm here for you. Yet at the same time, he was completely detached. And that was a very attractive mixture. Because normally when we love someone, we have a certain sense of expectation, a certain sense of possessiveness, a certain sense of control. But with Prabhupada, it wasn't like that. He was unconditionally loving and at the same time totally detached. And people came and people left. And a few stuck around. Prabhupada was cooking, cleaning, translating, preaching. He was doing everything himself. You heard on this recording, why is there no drum? Because there was no drum. Because Prabhupada had one small pair of cymbals. That's the one he was playing. Later on he had a little bongo drum. You know what a bongo drum is? One of those little ping, 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 ping.
Reproduction.
Reproduction. That's a pretty fancy bongo drum. So, and he's used that as a substitute. So he was not stuck up on details. He was, kirtan is a principle. The chanting of the holy name has to be there. But the instruments, those are details. It's a variable. Okay, you have ideal, mridanga, kartals, but then ideal is utopia. He had what he had, and he made do with it till more opportunity, more facility came. I was in Aarhus, Denmark, at the train station, and I met a lady, and when I showed her the book, she almost fell off the bicycle. And she said, I know this man, I know this man. And again, I said, probably not. You know? But she said, I'm from Hollywood, California. And when I was 16, me and my best friend, we heard that the Swami is in Culver City, which is just down the road from Hollywood. And she said, we both went there on our bicycle. So then when the Swami came in the car, she said, we threw flower petals, rose petals on the street. Wow. And then he walked over them. And then she told me, with the mischievous smile of a young girl, she said, and then I gathered those petals that he walked over, and I still have them today. Wow. Yeah, you know. So, and then she took books and she gave me donation, and she started giving me her groceries. She started giving me vegetables and fruits and bread, and she wanted to give me the bicycle. She wanted to take me home. And I said, no, it's okay, it's okay. You gave me enough. You gave me that moment of Prabhupada. That moment. So we're very fortunate, we're very blessed that we're allowed to be here in this holy space, this oasis that is open and there in this great jungle of New York City. There's a lot of creatures crawling through this area, everyone's looking for the same thing. They're looking for beauty, they're looking for fame, they're looking for power, for wealth, and even how to get rid of it all, how to be a little more detached. So what are they looking for? They're looking for Krishna. Mm-hmm. But they're looking at the reflection. They're dealing with the mirage. And like the animal in the desert, the mirage cannot really satisfy anyone. You need the real thing. You need the real substance. Mm-hmm. And that's why we're so fortunate that Prabhupada has not sold us on some idea or some hot air, but he has actually delivered the substance, the process of Krishna consciousness. He could have called it the Prabhupada movement or the Swamiji movement, like so many other teachers who made themselves the central figure of their operation. But Prabhupada kept Krishna in the center, and he was very clear that it's about Krishna. It's Krishna consciousness, not God consciousness, not I, me, and mine consciousness, but it's about Krishna consciousness. And because he made it his mission to make Krishna famous, Krishna made it his mission to make Prabhupada famous. Now I know what your mind tells you, okay, I'll make Krishna famous, and Krishna is going to make me famous, right? We got a deal here. Well, it doesn't exactly work like that, because Krishna is in our heart, and he sees our intention. He knows why we're doing what we're doing. So this is a good place to come and to pray, and to gather a bit of dust and a bit of inspiration, and then go back out into the world and try to be part of Prabhupada's vision. Srila Prabhupada said, I have one disease, I cannot think small. One time Srila Prabhupada mentioned, he said that I'd like to spread Krishna consciousness everywhere at once. That's a pretty big vision. Would you agree? So this is a good place to meditate. What is my mission in the vision of Prabhupada? Because just working for I, me, and mine, just working for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, just working for, surviving, this is not good enough. Because we have been given a gift, and with a gift comes a responsibility. How to receive this gift? Mukti pade sadayabha. Tenukampam susamikshvana punjana evatmakritan vipakam ridvakvabubir vidadan namaste jiveti o mukti pade sadayabha. You know the correct translation? Anyone out there? You can ask your friend. I don't want to just give you the abbreviated version. You want to hear the actual Tatenu compound.
Shall I read it?
Yes, please.
My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering your respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim.
So this is 10:14.8, Srimad Bhagavatam. You want to get a tattoo? 10:14.8. It's good. It's a good reminder that sometimes there are reversals, sometimes there are detours, there's obstacles. Have you ever had detours, obstacles, diversions? And if we tolerate them and we accept them as Krishna's way of making us more dedicated, more focused, more enthusiastic, and we don't see the bad as some drudgery or as some mishap, but we see it as part of Krishna's plan. When bad things happen, do you see it as part of Krishna's plan? Or do you think this is a glitch? This is a glitch in the matrix. Excuse me, Your Honor, there has been a mistake. I am innocent. It doesn't work like that. Not a blade of grass moves without the sweet will of the Lord. So whatever happens, ultimately, is for our good. But sometimes it's hard to accept it. So, this verse says that if we can accept even reversals, even obstacles as Krishna's mercy, then liberation becomes our rightful claim. It's our heritage. Basically, you inherit. And that's a very beautiful gift that we can receive. So, we're fortunate to be here in this historic place, and we really appreciate the hard work that the devotees have exerted themselves, not just to keep the oasis open and alive, but to restore it to its original state, which is simple and unique. It's kind of playful and innocent art, but it's very endearing. So Prabhupada, again, he was looking for progress over perfection. He did not send people to art school or to study Sanskrit grammar, but he said, you just serve Krishna, and then Krishna in your heart, he will give you the intelligence to do what you have to do. Like in Bhagavad Gita 10:10, Tesham satatayuktanam pachatam purvakam dadami mudiyogam tam yena mamupayanti te. In the last paragraph, Prabhupada says something very beautiful, that you may be in a spiritual organization, you may have a guru. Who does he talk to? Who is he speaking about? about her, about him. Talking about me. I'm in a spiritual organization. I have a guru. But you may still not have what it takes to achieve your goal. But then he says, and here it comes, if whatever you do it with love to please Krishna, then Krishna in your heart will give you the intelligence by which you can come to him. Now that's pretty cool, because it's quite easy to get lost in the concrete jungle of New York. Have you noticed? Did you ever take the subway and you went the wrong way? And you got off on the wrong stop? So there's many different ways how to get confused and how to get sidetracked or how to get bewildered in life. But when you have a clear north, it's important, and I'd like you to remember this. It's important to have a clear north. Any one of you Boy Scouts, you know, clear north? Where is north? Dhruva Loka, the pole star, right? The brightest star in the sky, that's north. Once you know where north is, everything else makes sense. If you don't know where north is, like, you know, you drive around New York City and it all looks the same, right? Because it's a grid and it all looks the same. And you drive around and you stop and you ask the cop and you say, excuse me, officer, I think I'm lost. And he says, now, are you lost or are you lost? That's New York. So you have to be able to navigate in life. And for that you have to know where is clear north. So for us, where is clear north? Here is clear north. Krishna consciousness. And you see the simplicity, you see the sincerity, the dedication. And Prabhupada was willing to do whatever it takes to serve these young, confused souls. And he kept going for over a year, till one day, one boy asked, Swamiji, can I help you? And Prabhupada said yes. He thought, maybe they were spoiled. Maybe they're rich kids, you know? Maybe they had a maid or a mom who did everything for them. But he was willing and happy to serve them because he had faith in the process. He had faith in the process of Krishna consciousness. That Krishna would do the miracle in one way or the other. And then as people started coming, Prabhupada started training them, started delegating, started empowering others. And he told Brahmananda, you go to Africa. He told Harikesh, you go to Russia. He told others, you go to Hridananda and Japataka, you go to South America. He'd send people all over the globe, young people in their 20s, who had just a couple of years of training at best. Then he sent them out to conquer continents. And guess what happened? They did it. Because the potency was there, the purity was there. Why? Because Prabhupada treated everyone who walked through that door not according to their deficiency, but according to their potential. Prabhupada saw the potential in everyone, and he fanned that spark. He had faith that Krishna can do the miracle. He can empower this person. And he treated everyone who walked through that door as a future leader of the Hare Krishna movement. He didn't see them as some young, you know, drugged out hippies. No, he saw them as the future leaders of the Hare Krishna movement. And guess what happened? They became the future leaders of the Hare Krishna movement. And they did amazing things. And some of them did foolish things and outrageously stupid things. But Krishna had his way in empowering whoever was willing to take up the torch, to carry the light. So this potency, Krishna Shakti Vinana Hitara Pravartana, I was just reading this verse today. Vallabhabhata was glorifying Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya heard this, and he said, actually, I'm just a Mayavadi sannyasi. I'm nothing special. I'm actually just one of those impersonalists. But Advaita Acharya, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Lord Chaitanya shows us that if we can keep a humble attitude and show gratitude where gratitude is due, then Krishna can allow us to be an instrument and to touch people's lives. And that is a quite amazing experience. It is still available today. It is still available today. So thank you all for your kind participation. We have a couple of minutes for reflections, comments, or questions. Yes?
I love what you're saying. The way you're describing is as if you have really met him in person. How did you get all these descriptions?
Well, I met him in person.
But
I met him in my boarding school in the form of a Bhagavad Gita. Because the person and his teachings are non-different, you see. So it's not about, spiritual life is not about physical proximity or about historical time. Srila Prabhupada, he made it very clear when they asked him who will be successor. He said that whoever follows my instructions will be my successor. And Prabhupada said that your love for me will be shown in as much as you cooperate after I depart from this world on a physical plane. His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami gave a beautiful speech just months before he left this world, and he was very enthusiastic, very exuberant, and he was saying that, and now I'm looking forward to the time in the future when we will spend more and more time together. It's like, hey Maharaj, you're leaving, you know, like you're dying. And so what are you talking about? But we will be more and more together because we won't have this physical encumbrance of a body. So I will be more accessible to you in the future. So Prabhupada is here, Krishna is here. Srila Prabhupada many times mentioned that I only saw my Guru Maharaj a dozen times. And there's many decades that he has left this world, but there's not a moment that I don't feel his presence. He's right next to me, looking over my shoulder, guiding me, giving me the strength. So we should have the same attitude towards our spiritual masters and towards Srila Prabhupada. And in this way we will be connected. Otherwise, if he becomes a personality cult, and it's like, oh, which year did you join? When did you come? No, I came 3 days before you, so I'm your senior eternally. Then we kind of miss the boat, you know, we kind of miss it. And it's unfortunate because we, again, see things from a mundane perspective. Like Bhakti Churu Maharaj, he came in the very last 2 years. And Prabhupada immediately gave him first initiation, second initiation, and sannyas, and told him he should translate all his books into Bengali, which is Prabhupada's mother tongue. He made him in charge for his Indian affairs, gave all his correspondence over to him, and people were like, he just came yesterday. And Prabhupada said, no, he is very qualified. And so Prabhupada could recognize the potential, could recognize the time. Okay?
Thank you.
And the empowerment comes to the degree of our surrender. As Prabhupada was taking his leap of faith for Krishna, so do we have to take our leap of faith for Krishna. And stretch a little bit. Because it's not easy. In whichever position you're in, whether you're raising a family, or you're planning retirement, or you're just finishing school, or you're just trying to keep going, it's never easy. It's always you have to stretch. You have to try to get out of the slump, out of the stupor, and because people want to have, they're looking for bliss, they're looking for ananda, they're looking for the real thing. So this neighborhood was not very fab. This was quite run down. It was pretty down and out. But Prabhupada was not faced by that. Even before, when he was staying in the Bowery, Prabhupada was just happy to work with whatever Krishna had given him. He never complained. So there's a lot to be learned. Here we can pray at Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. We can meditate on his mood, on his mission, and make plans and gather inspiration. What is my plan? How will I find my mission in the vision of Srila Prabhupada? And then there will never be a lack of opportunities, a lack of resources, and a lack of meaningful engagement. So we are blessed. We're blessed. We're fortunate. And there's so much meaningful association. This place draws a lot of kindred spirits who come here, and we hope that there will be more programs and more activities happening here, because it's not just a memorial, but it's, as it was mentioned, it's the seed, and you can see that these seeds from those fruits that grew here on this tree have been spread and shared all over the world. And it is still going, because this process is anandam buddhi vardhanam. It is ever increasing. It's not like, oh yeah, it was great in the 60s, then it peaked in the 70s, and then in the 80s they blew it, and now it's all kaput. And we're just kind of, you know, yeah, we got to do something, but no, it's still vibrant. But that vibrancy is not always defined or quantified through numbers or through results as such, because spiritual potency cannot be limited to the material sphere. Other reflections?
What kind of programs and activities would you envision here as being fitting?
You know, Prabhupada kept it real, he kept it simple. Like he told the boys and girls that you have to have a sign out there. And they said, we don't have any money. Prabhupada said, you have to have a sign, because a business without a sign is a sign of no business. So you have to have a sign out there. They got that little board with those little numbers and letters that you stick in there, you know, in these rows, exactly. And they had to go and spend the money, even though they didn't have it. But you have to see what actually works. That doesn't mean you turn it into a bingo hall or into a yoga or a dance studio. But you have to see what works. What I envision, personally, is talks, workshops, seminars, educational programs, can be kirtan, you know, teaching people how to do kirtan, and just different ventures. Like in San Francisco, we restarted for the umptieth time the San Francisco venture, and I just saw what worked, what did different people want to do, and we have different community leaders who have a key, and they do different programs on different days of the week. So basically, empowerment. See who is willing to take some responsibility, who has some capacity. You can have a Russian program, you can have a ladies program, you can have a youth program, you can have your Prabhupada program. You know, that's already 4, you know, you're just missing 3. Okay, then you can go all day, of course. I mean, this place could be busy 24/7. This is New York, right? Non-stop. So it's, use your imagination and see what Krishna allows you to do. But there has to be some consistency, there has to be some continuity. So for that, yeah, we need the collaboration, and because this is kind of a global project, so I think the devotees from all the different tribes feel a commitment to this place, and so it doesn't really matter in which zip code you live or in which temple you pray. This is a common concern. And then see what Krishna allows you to do. Other points? How are we doing time-wise? We're there.
5, 6 minutes.
5, 6 minutes, yes.
Thank you for a nice talk, Prabhu, and yeah, very nice points. I was thinking how you were talking about this idea of understanding what is your north, and then of course Prabhupada had his north. He knew what he was doing, where he was going. But at the same time, you mentioned Tatenu Kampam Susamikshmano, so there's this idea that even with a north, it's not that the road will always be smooth.
Correct.
So I was wondering if maybe with Prabhupada, you know, some of his experiences, challenges that he faced, even with a clear north, it's not that, you know, we might think, oh, the pure devotee, he's come, he's going to do everything, and everything should just be smooth. Why would Krishna do this? Why would Krishna do that?
Well, in the Bhagavatam, thank you. In the Bhagavatam, it's explained why Krishna does this to the devotees. First of all, he does it to prove their tolerance, that they're not faced by this. They're not impatient. Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kohe Sudrida Nishchoy Krishna Bhakti Koila Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. Krishna's got my back. I know it. I'm fully convinced of it. So Krishna does it to show the patience, the tolerance of the devotee. Also, Krishna does it in order to discourage insincere people. Because some people, they just come here and they would be a botheration. So they see, oh yeah, this is hard work, this is trouble, this is trouble. Okay, no thank you. I'd rather go, I like to live on easy street, you know. So they will go somewhere else. Now, then also, if there is no great challenge and great danger, then how can Krishna save his devotee? Now somebody may say, well, why is he doing this to me? You know, like he's putting me in distress. He's putting me over the curb. You know, like I'm like in the cartoon, you know, the guy walks off the cliff and then he looks down, and then he turns around and he's in midair and he walks back on the cliff. You have had moments like that in your life where you felt like you're slightly over the cliff? So why would Krishna do this to his devotee? And the acharyas say, people who argue like that, they don't understand rasa. Because Krishna likes this tension. It's called the love fight. That there has to be tension. Otherwise there is no intensity. It's just, it's okay. You know, we're good. So Krishna wants to draw out more love. Just like when the gopis came and they argued with Krishna, they say, what kind of a lover are you? You know? Like there are different types of lovers. Those are self-satisfied, those are ungrateful, and those who don't need anybody. So which one are you? And Krishna showed to them that I did what I did in order to draw more love out and to show your selflessness, your dedication, your complete exaltedness. And then they were very happy. So sometimes we look at things on a superficial, on a mundane platform, and we can't really understand why is this happening to me? Why all these detours? Prabhupada first, he knew he wanted to go to the US because God Brothers had gone to UK, had gone to London, had gone to Germany, and said, let me fail in a new place. And US is kind of the leader. But then somebody from Trinidad wrote him a letter, and he was making plans to go to Trinidad. But it didn't manifest. And he saw that they would want to just use him for political purposes, and you know, so he didn't go there. So Prabhupada left no stone unturned. He had a donor who wanted to give money for the first Radha Krishna temple in New York. But that donor was in India. To get money out of India was impossible at that time. So he said he should give the money to the Salvation Army in India, and the Salvation Army in New York can give Prabhupada the money in US dollars, in currency. So, you understand? Prabhupada was leaving no stone unturned in order to try to somehow get this going. He was doing a program in Agra at the home of a Mr. Agarwal, and Prabhupada did many programs. He was a sannyasi. He was based out of Vrindavan. Agra is just down the road. And that Mr. Agarwal said, you know, I have a son, Gopal, he's in America, and he got captured by some white woman, and he's not coming back. And he was very upset, because he went there to study, and he got bamboozled, and now he's gone. And I lost my Gopal. And so he was very melancholic. But Prabhupada was very excited. He said, wow, can he send me a sponsorship letter? Remember, like, ooh. And Prabhupada, yeah! And so he didn't think much of it, but a few months later, Prabhupada in Chippiwada in Delhi, he had a little office, a little hole in the wall, kind of a room, where he was doing his writing and some of the printing work for the Bhagavatam. All of a sudden, he had an invitation, a sponsorship letter in his box there. Because Gopal, his dad, a few people had asked before, and he just wrote that letter, and you know, it was just like that. He didn't think much of it. So, in a similar way, we should make plans for spreading Krishna consciousness. Because plans for sense gratification put us in utter misery. Krishna will give us whatever is due in our destiny. But if we reach out and we try to struggle and strive, then we will become a victim of our own success and of our own failure. But if we're just happy to try to be of service and try to expand the mission, Krishna will do the magic. Do you want to see the magic in your life?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's not like you go to the circus and you see the rabbit and the this and the that and cut the girl in half. I'm talking about the magic of people's lives just totally changing. Sometimes people came and they asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, can you do miracles? Prabhupada said, yes. And they said, God, can you show me? Prabhupada said, yes. He said, what is your miracle? Prabhupada pointed like that, this is my miracle. I've changed these people's lives. Why? Because he was selfless. He didn't have an agenda. He said, I've not come here to cheat you. I've not come here on my own. I came here to carry the Bhagavatam. Krishna Swadharma Pagate Dharma Jnana Divisaha Kalaunashtam Drishamesha Purunarkodunodita. When Krishna left this world, Dharma took shelter in the Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada's mission was to bring the Bhagavatam to the world. And Krishna gave him all facility. He gave him artists, he gave him editors, he gave him book distributors, he gave him managers. Now some people think in the 60s it was all peace and love, but no, it wasn't all peace and love. I remember one devotee, he told me, when he walked through that front door, he saw Brahmananda, big Brahmananda, in his dhoti, and here it gets pretty hot in the summer, there was no AC, and he was bare-chested, big, hairy guy. And Brahmananda was on the phone, so he walked in the door, and Brahmananda was yelling into the phone and was telling the guy, you come down here and you bring the money, or else I'm going to come there, and then bang, he banged it on the, these old phones, which you can bang on, and he, no peace and love, no yoga. These guys are serious. This is for real. Because that was the guy who actually put out the first album, the first Hare Krishna album. But Brahmananda reminded him that you have to pay royalties. You can't just print and sell. You have to pay your dues. And he wasn't, so he reminded him, or else we'll come there and collect, yes, basically. So he saw, okay, this is for real, this is serious. He's not just a bunch of, fairies. So we're very grateful to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada for having taken this leap of faith, this tremendous voyage, and this tremendous undertaking to share Krishna with one and all. And we're here because of his sacrifice, because of his prayers. One devotee once asked Prabhupada, it says, Manushyanam sahasheshu kashidya tatisidaye, and you have to do so many things before you can get enlightenment, etc., etc. What is our credit? Prabhupada said, you had no credit. I created you good fortune. I created your credit. So Prabhupada gave us that benefit of the doubt because he saw, hey, for Krishna's service, I'm willing to go out on a limb. I'm willing to pay forward and invest in others, as people have invested in us. So, as a token of appreciation and gratitude to Srila Prabhupada, let us appreciate what he has given us and strictly follow and practice the easy path of Krishna consciousness, which might be a little difficult sometimes, because it's not A to B straight line. Sometimes there are curves and deviations. But if we stay chaste and loyal and faithful to Srila Prabhupada's instructions and don't look for extracurricular activities or think that we can get more bhakti for our buck somewhere else, or we can get a cheaper way of how to do this, then we'll get empowered. We'll be able to be part of that magic. And when you see the lights go on, when you see people actually transform right in front of your eyes, that is Krishna's magic. And it is available every day of the week. And you have seen, you have been part of it. That's why we're here. That's what keeps us going. Thank you very much for your dedication and your presence, and let us, in the mood of Srila Prabhupada, create teams and expand the Sankirtan unlimitedly, as Srila Prabhupada did. It has been done before. It can happen again. But it's a big world out there, and there's a lot of people from all over the world here in New York. So I was just telling the other day the story from Bali. Bali is a devotee who got connected in London. He was from Nigeria. He was the son of the finance minister. This is my last story, then I quit. Guaranteed, you have to remind me. And Bali started business school of management, MBA, average, usual madness. But he got connected with the Hare Krishnas in London, and he became a Hare Krishna. And his dad was not very happy because he's the finance minister of Nigeria, and that means you're a big guy. Ministers run government. It's not like in ISKCON, like they give you a Boy Scout badge. So he told him that I'll cut you out of my inheritance. I want nothing to do with me. Bali said, bring it on. I don't care. Hare Krishna. So, but then when the old man got sick, terminally ill, and was on his deathbed, nobody of his family wanted to deal with him because he was such a tyrant. He was such a headstrong man. But Bali flew back to Nigeria and nursed his dad till the moment he passed away. And he left him a few cashew factories and a few other things. And he used his resources to promote Harinam Sankirtan. He bought buses, uniforms, instruments. He paid stipends, salaries to grihastas, and he built teams to expand Sankirtan globally. And he did that for quite a number of years. So, whether you're in New York or in London or wherever you are, if we see the opportunity and we're willing to see the potential in people rather than seeing the deficiency, then Krishna will actually make the magic happen and just transform the situation. So we've come here to pray, and we come here to recharge and to show gratitude. It's a very, very important place for us. Thank you for your kind attention. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah.
All glories to all the sincere and dedicated followers of Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna. HG Navina Nirada Prabhu. Okay. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for amazing talk. Thank you, everyone, for being here this evening. So now we're going to have a few minutes of kirtan. And would you like to lead kirtan? We got our kirtan team here. We brought the whole band.
The kirtan band.
Yeah.
So just if we can just keep it to like 10 minutes. So, but we can maybe all stand up and stretch a little bit, have a little standing kirtan. After that, we're going to serve prasadam. But just a quick announcement before the kirtan. There is some merchandise at the back, and of course this project runs on the goodwill of all the devotees, so if anyone would like to make a donation, there's a little donation box up here, some QR codes, or if you have a card, I can help you out with that. If anyone would like any of the merchandise, please speak to myself or Gaur Kumar Prabhu, who's here. By the way, Gaur Kumar Prabhu is right here raising his hand. You can speak to him. He's also the president of 26 2nd Avenue Matchless Gifts. Now he's running the high behind the pillar there. And it's by his immense efforts that all of this has come about, much sacrifice, and his good wife and daughter are both here as well. So we'd like to thank them very much with some loud Hari Bols. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Okay, so we're going to have some kirtan.